like, Mom, we know too much about this family, you know, like, and she comes down from the top of the stairs, looked beautiful. Was wearing kind of like a muumuu though. So like, I'm like, I don't know what to tell my mom. She looks beautiful, but she descends the staircase, very dramatic. I mean, it was like normal, but like it's Janet Jackson, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And she sits down on the couch and she goes right into the story. She goes, I'm asleep one night and in bed, fast asleep. And she's like, and I get a call. It's like she's like, and it's Jermaine. And she's like, Dupree, not my brother. I'm like, oh, okay. So she's like, and he's like, baby, I'm coming over right now. She's like, is everything okay? It's 4:00 in the morning. It's like, no, I'm coming over right now. He shows up at my door and he hands me a DVD. And I look on it and it says Cocaine Cowboys. And I'm like, this is some surreal shit. And she goes, she sat down right away, 4 a.m. She sits down and she puts it in the DVD and she goes, and I watched it twice.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And we just sat there talking about Cocaine Cowboys. And I tell you, so my producer, Mark Alfred doesn't like sushi. It's just like a funny thing. We always joke. What do you want for lunch? Sushi? Hates sushi. So this meeting's winding down and she's like, you all want to go to, you like sushi? And Alfred goes, yes. And she goes, let's go to Nobu for dinner. And we're like, yes, we're going to Nobu for dinner with Janet Jackson. That's what we're doing. And we had a great time. She was a sweet, and we just talked about, she goes, you know, growing up, she goes, my sister, she loved like love story and romance novels. She goes, but I love Scarface and I'd read about Murder Incorporated and Al Capone. And I'm like, this is just wild. And we had a great time hanging out with Janet Jackson for a while.
That's a great story, man. Thanks for sharing that, Billy. Such a great story. Wow. Well, listen, now you know, you've made a name for yourself with those hard-hitting documentaries and covered some wild and sometimes uncomfortable truths, right? Now you're also using your voice through Because Miami podcast to call out corruption and to break down Florida politics in real time. Both platforms are rooted in truth-telling, but how was that transition for you going from behind the camera to behind the microphone like you are right now? And what inspired you to make that shift?
You know, I obviously, like you said, nonfiction is nonfiction is nonfiction. Nonfiction filmmaking, documentary filmmaking. I got my producing partner told me to get on Twitter in like 2008, and I got on Twitter. I enjoyed, you know, the microblogging or whatever they called it in those days. And it was just an extension of the truth telling that we were doing and our stories that we were doing. And we called our company Raconteur. One word, not Raconteur Films, Raconteur Studio, Raconteur Productions, Raconteur. It's a French word. We spell it phonetically, RAKONTUR.com. But it's based on a French word, raconteur, which means one who tells stories with skill. Because we knew whatever form this would take, that's all we wanted to do. We didn't care if it was feature documentaries, if it was short films, if it was tweets, you know, whatever it was, because we didn't know where technology was going to go and tastes were going to go and attention spans were going to go. We just wanted to, I mean, you know, we wanted to just be ready for whatever the future held in storytelling and truth telling. And I got to tell you, I think, you know, there were some things that kind of, you know, say radicalized me along the way. But one of the things that comes with gaining a platform, like I did on, you know, on social media and what we were fortunate enough to get from doing our docs. And it really is a blessing when you have attention or eyeballs, and it's a responsibility. And and this is kind of getting back to the politics conversation in a way where if I'm going to get a modicum of power, a little power or a lot of power, my first thought is not how can I help the oligarchs? How can I help the millionaires, the billionaires, sports team owners? You know, how my thinking is, how can I help the most people I can as possible with whatever platform or power that I have? And I realized there were so many marginalized voices in Miami, so many people who can't go to those meetings at 9 a.m. on a Thursday, who either feel like they don't have a voice or just don't have a voice because either they don't know how to access their government, they're scared to speak truth to power. And I realized, well, like, I should just go and speak, like punch up and speak truth to power. That came with a learning curve. I did and still do on occasion a lot of Florida man shit. What I mean by that is like, you know, the headlines, you know, Florida man arrested, with mobile meth lab in Walmart bathroom, you know, the thing about it's low hanging fruit. It's funny shit. The problem is when you click the link beyond the headline, there's usually some sad shit going on there. There's poverty, there's addiction, there's abuse. Those stories are not funny beyond the headline. And so I'm like, that felt like punching down to me. Mugshots of poor people, who are addicted, who are drug addicted or have mental illness. That's not punching up. That's not using your platform for good. So I'm like, let me punch up. Let me speak truth to power. And it just instinctually, it felt like the right thing to do.
So you didn't grow up like in a political family or like being like civically engaged or involved, or was it more so like you built this platform? So like what's next?
My grandfather, I just happened to have this. I was helping him downsize and clean out his apartment. He turns 97 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
This is his invitation to Richard Nixon's inauguration. Okay.
Wow.
That's what this is. Yeah. So crazy. So like they were politically involved, but also my grandfather once told me, he was successful in his business. He once told me his biggest regret in life is that he didn't make more money so that he could give more money away, because there are so many important and worthy causes and people in need that in addition to going out and working his ass off for his very large to take care of all of his extended family, his 4 kids, his 8 grandchildren, his 10 great grandchildren, he was like, more people need our help. And they were very philanthropic, my grandparents in their time. So for me, it was more of that. That was public service, was through philanthropy. I'm not a rich man, but I try to give where I can. And my grandfather was a great inspiration to me. He was the first home builder to build homes in Black communities in Liberty City, in Perrine. It was a time when there was a burgeoning Black working class in South Florida, people, teachers, postal workers, police officers, firefighters, but nobody would give them mortgages, build houses. And my grandfather, let's be honest, he says, Billy, I'm no civil rights leader. I saw an opportunity. I saw a market here. And he said, nobody was helping everybody. They were gainfully employed.